Alright, so here's the box. At the moment I'm recording this before anything else because I wanted to get the box out the way, put it in storage, as well as we've had some mold in the house and we had mold men come around, spray everything. That's why everything's kind of messed up and my light system isn't set up. But here's the front of the box. Resident Evil 2, liquor bust. Umbrella symbol there, which is pretty cool. Same on the back. Pure Arts, this is my first Pure Arts, which is cool. And then some features on the side here. Alright, and here we have the top part. I'm not too sure if you guys can make it out, but if they were trying to go for like a RE2 kind of thing. But here's the top part, it looks really cool. As you can see the pixelation on the sides, I'm not too sure if they're trying to go for the original Resident Evil 2 or something, but if they were, cool. If they're not, they need to work on their artbox skills. But yeah, really cool. And the bottom is kind of just all the information and stuff like that. But yeah, let's bust him out, shall we? Before I get started, I just want to say to you guys, I currently have COVID, so excuse the coughs here and there maybe, as well as the blocked nose. I'm doing all right. I'm sure most people have had it worse, and my heart goes out to you guys. So yeah, let's carry on with the review. Alrighty, so here we are with another bust review. I don't have many of them, so I'm very excited to bring this guy to you. He is massive, his range with his tongue is huge in the game as well as in the statue. But this is my first Pure Arts statue, and what an entrance, to be honest. Like this thing is massive. Like, I'm not that far away, look how big his face is. But this is obviously the liquor from the Resident Evil 2 remake. This design is from Resi 2, or the remake at least. And there has been different kind of looking liquors from all sorts of different games and movies, animated and live action, including the newest, most horrific, more horrific than this guy, Welcome to Raccoon City Resident Evil movie. That was a piece of shit. There were so many good references in it, but the story, the characters, what they did, how they butchered the characters was terrible. I just have to get that off my chest. Don't even bother watching it. If you want to watch it with friends and just make fun. That's what we did when me and my fiance went to go watch it. We were the only 2 people in the cinema. That's how bad it was. Anyway, back to this guy. He is gruesome, he's ugly, he's vicious. There's so many issues with him, but I love him regardless. He is pretty awesome. He was cheaper than the life-size Venom bust that I have. If you want to see a little bit more of that, wait for a review, or you can check out my Patreon. You can see my room tour from 2021. He was cheaper by almost 500 bucks. That includes express postage. So that's pretty crazy. He is easily bigger than that Venom too, which is crazy because Venom is meant to be a bigger character. Pure Arts, I don't have a lot of experience with these guys, but this guy does have a lot of issues. So we'll dive straight in and we'll start off with the base and move on up. Alright, so we'll start off with the base. And there's a few Easter eggs in it, which is really cool. So first off, I'm going to do this side, then the other side, purely because the way he's shaped, it's really difficult to get like a proper focus on just all of it rather than just one side and the other side. So we have a little caution plaque there, which is really cool. I'll try and get a close up of that. Yeah, it has a nice little metal nameplate there. It's not real metal, it's all the same material as the rest of it, but it says there, caution potential presence, which is clear with the statue. They didn't have to put that on there, but the fact that they did is pretty cool. I think it would have looked a lot worse if this just came out with a big chunk of rock rather than actually having something like this, which is really cool. I reckon they could have made it a little bit more police look, because that's where you first encounter the liquor, but this is still quite nice. Alright, this is coming across a lot better on camera than it is in person. The colors just seem a little bit more brighter and more vivid. But you can see it's a rock base and a rock backdrop thing. A few piping and stuff going on here. And you can see here that there is an umbrella symbol there, bolted to another pipe, which is really cool. It's all part of the same material. The paint job is okay. I reckon they could have done a little bit better with this. Rock, it looks more like rust than it does rock, but the piping looks pretty cool. I like how they dry brushed over it heavy-handedly and it came across really well. I think it didn't come across as well on the rock than it did on this, because it doesn't look like concrete or rock. It kind of looks like metal crossed over with rock. It's just, it seems more of a rust color than, but the fact that you can see some rust there and it ties in well with this color here is kind of where I'm getting at. All right, let's move on to the other side. All right, so here we have the other side. I'm sorry if you can see some inconsistencies in the back there. We recently had mold and we had to remove everything. So I kind of tried to get as much as I can sorted and done before I did this review. All right, yeah, so same kind of deal on this side. We have some piping and then another huge bit of pipe that goes into the back of the liquor, which is really cool. It looks very rusty, very old, very weathered. It's just the rock base that I don't like very much. All right, so this is the back. Just a flat wall with some cracks through it. Looks cool, looks nice. I dig it. While we are at the back here, I will show you the back of the liquor, and this is one of the biggest paint mishaps I've ever seen. This is the back, and I don't like it very much at all. It looks like that shit you see in TikToks where they spray the wall with like an insulation liquid and it just puffs up like crazy. It looks like that, except it's been weathered to shit. You can actually see where they stopped with a darker wash up top, because all of this forward is a darker wash compared to this down. And you can see where they've stopped. Clearly, you can see where they've stopped. And that's very disappointing when you pay so much money for something like this and it ends up not to quality. But at the same time, I have to say, like, it is at the back. I'm not overly worried. If this was in the front, then I would have probably sent it back or canceled the order or something like that. But because this isn't visible, I'm okay with it. So like, I just feel it's kind of redundant making this look decent-ish compared to this. And I'm not too sure if you guys can see it, but there's just this random hole here. I have no idea what's it for. It doesn't say anything in the instructions when you're putting it together. Nothing. I give them props for actually sculpting the spinal column there. That's pretty cool. But the random hole is just leaving me guessing, you know? All right, moving on. Let's get into the good parts of the statue. Let's just get it out the way that the brain, the teeth, and the tongue are the best part about this statue. The details is okay. I think a lot of busts suffer because it is at a larger scale and you can't do as realistic detail, especially when it comes to this muscle definition. All those little strands need to be hand sculpted before they cast or anything, or at least hand molded or 3D animated or whatever the hell they do to get it perfect. But to have all those lines and all those details would be quite difficult. But at the same time, it does leave it wanting more when it comes to the sculpt of the muscles. Bones look pretty good. They have a really nice texture to it, but the paint job isn't the best. It comes across as bone, but it's like a cartoony kind of bone rather than a realism bone. And it goes for the same for the other side. I think a lot of the issues with this is paint related. So besides the sculpt of everything being slightly off because of that, like this is meant to be skin, but they painted it the same color as the bone. This pink jawline seems very different and not necessarily accurate. The brain looks really good. The brain looks awesome. I'll get some close-ups of everything and show you everything that I mean. I feel like they could have put some blue veinage through it or something like that. The shine, the gloss is coming across really nicely on camera, but not all of it is shiny like you see. And like the paint job with the transitioning from the bone to the muscle is awful. There's like different washes through there as well as pinks and reds. It's a smooth transition, but not a very natural bodily transition in my opinion. For the brain, you can see like there's some really nice details on like extra meaty bits in between some of the, I'm not entirely sure what these tubey brainy parts are called. The teeth are slightly translucent, which is really nice. The tongue is really nice and slimy and well painted too. It feels like they had a very limited palette when it came to paint, and they did the best they could. Some cool posable options is you do get this nice little plaque here. It is I guess a authenticity stamp where it says the liquor, and mine is 284 out of 666. So you can pose it with this guy, and then you also get this knife, which is really cool. Completely plastic. It looks pretty good for plastic. It's very like a soft foam even. It's very under scale. This knife should be almost as large as my forearm, and it's nowhere near that size. So a little bit of a mist there, and the blood looks really nice and glossy, which is really sick. And you can, or you don't have to have it stabbed in there. I had a quick look on YouTube, and that's exactly where Leon stabs him. I will get some close-ups of what I'm talking about with this bust, eh? All right, so here is some of the lack of detail that I was mentioning before. So this is the paintwork. It just seems kind of messy as it fades into bone. They really should have stuck with individual strands that's connected to the bone. Even just a little bit of white to show that it is maybe some sort of tendons connecting the muscles to the bone. I know there's something like that. I'm sorry if I'm wrong. And then this sculpt work here. I'm not too sure if you guys can pick that up, but what is that? Like that just looks off. The rest of it has nice textures for bone, or stereotypical textures for bone, like this here. But it actually looks like sculpt work that hasn't been completely smoothed over yet, which seems very off. Yeah, so, and over here you can see that there are a few layers or different layers of paintwork, going from the whites probably for the bone to the pinks, and then the reds over the top of that. It looks a lot better on camera than it does in person, because the blending of the reds and the pinks happen quite well with the eye. But on camera, it picks it up quite differently. I guess it kind of makes sense that the pink bits are old flesh and the wet red stuff is new flesh, but that's consistent throughout the entire statue, which is really cool. And or really bad, depending on how you think of it. All right, so this is might be some controversy when it comes to this, but I always thought that this was flesh. All these stretchy bits, they could be tendons. I'm not sure. This is a freaking zombie liquor, but the consistency with color between the bone, the consistency between the bone coloration and the tendon / skin is the same. So I highly dislike that. I feel like they should have just made it one or the other. Should have made it more white for tendons or more flesh tone for skin. I don't like that very much at all. There's a decent amount of detail from a distance. Like right now we are looking at from walking into my gallery and seeing it and being like, okay, yeah, that's cool. But going up close, like you saw before, it's quite flawed. But that's what makes me okay with having this statue, is the fact that if you take a step back, it's okay. It's not bad. I think they should have continued the muscle through this section here, because this section here is that horrible backdrop that just looks awful. It's the same on the edge of everything besides the shoulder blades here. But the anatomy looks really cool, really gruesome. Yeah, so let's move on to the brain, shall we? All right, here we have the brain. So yeah, the brain looks really cool. There's a good amount of pink and white and cream hues through it. And it's entirely glossy. I love the fact that it's entirely glossy. And I'm not too sure if the camera's picking it up very well. But yeah, you can see these blue veins through the entire thing. And that is nasty. You see them through here and up here too. It's not showing up as much on camera as it is in person. But the fact that it's still in there is pretty awesome. It looks really cool. I think the brain is probably the best part next to the tongue, like I mentioned before. Even the teeth are flawed, but the brain is so sick. I love it. It's so cool. One thing that I forgot to mention is, besides maybe the bone, everything else should be as glossy as this, but it's not. That includes the teeth and the mouth, as well as the jaw. The tendons are going across the mouth and the muscles. So none of that is as glossy as this. This is completely glossy. Same with the tongue. The tongue is completely glossy. So let's move on to the mouth section. I'm going to take the tongue out for this, and we will talk about the tongue separately. All right, so here we have the mouth section. It is nasty. Another thing that I would like to say is the mouth, inside of the mouth isn't sculpted all that well. It's pretty bland. But again, you don't see it all that well without the tongue in there. So that's okay. But the teeth look really cool. The gums are sculpted well. The stretched skin looks pretty good too. From what I understand, a licker is a prolonged zombie. So eventually the skin rots off the bones, the brain swells up, breaks the skull, and then it just starts growing bigger, stronger, faster, nastier. But it hasn't been confirmed. There's been concept arts of this happening for the remake of Resident Evil 2, but regardless, the licker is still probably my favorite creature out of Resident Evil franchise, including the movies. But yeah, looks pretty good. The teeth are slightly translucent, as you can see. Bit bright, but yeah, there we go. You can see what I mean there. The gums and everything else should be quite salivated up, in my opinion, and it's not. You can see that even up here, it's shining more than this here, which is very unfortunate. I think that would have made the details pop and the color pop a lot more. Just the weird coloration of the gums to the teeth inside here as well. The gums were an off kind of white, but not as white as the teeth. So I think they could have done a little bit better there. As well as I mentioned before, that very weird pink jaw. The mouth area was quite dark, and obviously that would have been a bloody red. But while we're down here, let's have a talk about the throat and neck, shall we? All right, so I don't really know why, but I love this section. I think because of how there's a very open area where you can see pretty much everything that you need to see. You can see the brain, you can see the jaw, you can see the teeth, you can see the tongue, you can see all these stringy bits, and then you can see all the muscle and all the skin and bone. But at the same time, it still has the same paint details, but I still think it looks really cool. All right, so here we have the nasty tongue. So I really like the tongue. Only thing that I wish is that this was a different color. Maybe the same as the teeth, as this, have that weird translucent bone. I have no idea what this is meant to be. I'm assuming some sort of bone or a tooth, maybe make it look like that. But at the same time, if I think about it, if they made it look like bone, I think it would have become disappointing, just like the bone on the actual body or bust part. So maybe this is better, I'm not sure. But either way, the teeth on the tongue are the same kind of translucent material. So it just eerily accurate to what you would see in real life. So it makes it very unsettling. And that's what the actual teeth is missing, is that weird gloss kind of look. And this thing has such range. It's such a long, thick statue. And you can see some vein work down there. The coloration of the actual statue, of the actual tongue, is really good, as well as the gloss looks really nice too. So I'm really happy with that. It's a very heavy tongue because it's a separate piece from the rest of the body. Yeah, it looks really, really good. The details are really nice. Let's check out the knife. All right, so here we have the knife. Very cool. I love the fact that they put in this as a detail. There is an exclusive of this statue where it comes with a metal nameplate rather than the plastic one that you see in the back here. It comes with a metal one, signed, autographed by the creators and stuff like that, which is really cool. But honestly, I would have rather have like this as a exclusive or something, because the fact that you can pull it out and put it back in just seems so cool to a metal nameplate that most collectors don't necessarily show. But the detail on it is quite nice. You can see that the blood is very, very glossy, looks very fresh. The coloration on it is very cool. It's like a rubbery kind of material. You can see me pushing down on it there like that, flexing it. so it won't harm the statue, which is really cool. The only thing I'm worried about is the material, the paint on this scuffing up by putting it in the neck. But yeah, it's pretty much asymmetrical on both sides. See, the serrated edge looks really nice. The detail in the hilt looks pretty good. You've got like the attachment there to put it on the gun, as well as the ring there to put the barrel through, which is really cool. The only thing is that it is really small. It's meant to be a lot bigger. It's meant to be about maybe half the size bigger. Yeah, but other than that, it's a really cool addition. I might make a first aid spray bottle to go with it, which would be really cool. But while we are here, let's just stick that in there for safe holding. Okay? We'll talk about the nameplate. The nameplate is really nice. The only thing I have an issue with is, it's funny though, because it's hell of a lot darker in person. It's more blood red, so it doesn't come across that well than it does on camera. The cool thing about it is if you do end up having custom lights for it, you could put something behind it and have that just glow so much more, make it look so much more menacing. But I suppose that wouldn't really necessarily show for you guys watching this video because of how bright it is. But yeah, it looks pretty cool. There's a very faint like lines going through it like that, symmetrical lines as it goes. And then over here, just below the tongue, there is a Pure Arts logo there. Other than that, it kind of looks like a weird, morbid X-ray of the liquor, maybe like the liquor experiment 284 or something like that. It's really cool. I like that idea. It comes with this little block that you can prop it up with, which is really nice. Always find issues with propping up some comic books and stuff like that. So having this come with it really helps. I'm going to display this with it. The only reason why is because I already put the box in storage. I've already mentioned that in the beginning of the video. Yeah. Alright, and that concludes the review. I will give you my honest opinion about this guy. Was he worth the money? Yes. I paid a lot more for the Venom bust. The scale of this one and the scale of the other one, paint applications, the price, the postage, the posability and stuff like that. Venom was consistent throughout all of it, except for the mouth. The mouth was brilliant. This is like consistent throughout everything, besides the tongue and the brain. You know what I mean? So I think the drop in price makes this guy, yes, it's worth it. But if you collect busts, collect like really high-end busts like Queen Studios or something like that, where they have latex skin, this is not the guy for you. I don't know, you might like it. You might like it. It is just a statue. It's not latex skin or anything like that, and the price is very much lower compared to a Queen Studio life-size, life-accurate. It's pretty much having the actual character in your house. This is a little bit different. So yes, I think this is worth it. I personally think it is. If you guys don't think so, that's fine. Let's just say, okay, so this is a massive issue with me is space. He is extremely long. He's almost touching my chest. It's very, very long. It's not a bad thing. It's not a good thing either. The height is very low, which is really good. The width is pretty good too for a bust, but the depth is massive. The way he's hunched over is really cool. It's very accurate to what he would be like, usually on all fours. Because of that, you can have him either eye level or higher. you can't really have him on a knee level, hip level shelf because all you'll see is brain and this tongue coming out. So that kind of sucks too. Besides the limitations of it, I'm still very happy I got him. Resident Evil stuff has been very difficult for me to come across, but with the recent remakes and stuff like that, there's been a lot of good stuff coming out. I'm gonna try and scoop up as much as I can with what I like, at least. One more thing I'd like to tell you guys is this thing worries me a lot with how it's propped up, and I'll show you what I mean. Yeah, it feels like it's just gonna topple forward. This is heavy. This cylinder it's connected to is heavy. Bust itself isn't, but the tongue and the span of it all really makes it quite forward heavy. So that freaks me out. At the moment, I have him going across my shelf, so that depth is really a problem for me. I hope this helps you decide whether you guys want to get it, or if you were thinking about it and you were just like, no or yes. Hope this helps you. If not, I hope it was an entertaining video. I love the Licker. I could not let this pass. The Licker and Leon, that's my stuff. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'm sorry again that I have COVID and that this video might be a little bit up and down. Sometimes I get dizzy and a little spacey. So I hope this was okay. I just feel crap not doing anything. So at least I can sit down and talk about something that I love. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys later. One more thing I forgot to mention is that the prototype photos of this guy looks so much better than what I received. Just to put it out there, make sure that you guys understand what you look in the prototype is not what you will get. It's not by any means like a massive difference, but it is a noticeable difference. A big noticeable difference. Sorry for the angle, I didn't want to put it back on the table because he's heavy. Thank you all, and see you next time.